Just kind of quick show of hands. Who here identifies as a hacker? Cool. Excellent. So please don't show me up too much. But basically what I'm going to go through, and you might be thinking about, hey, hacking around with WordPress, but actually I'm going to talk about WordPress getting hacked, why, how, who, what, and just try and complete the picture. So 6.2, we're a web design business. We've been going for almost a decade now. I've had a few programmers, really smart guys through the doors, who aren't really aware of why this happens and, you know, what goes on behind it. So I'll start with a video, in fact. And that, yeah, you just click that. So all very dramatic. Show you some code now. This is code from, as we can see, Revolution Slider, a WordPress plugin for doing really fancy image sliders. So one of the first things it does is it adds an action to receive AJAX requests. And the really interesting thing is this bit here, WP AJAX no priv. This is no privileges. This means that that action can be run by someone who is not authenticated, not logged into the website. Here's a little problem here. As we can see, AJAX action calls update plugin. Update plugin also accepts a file which can be extracted, stored on the server, and then extracted with no privileges. So if you're like me, you're going to jump on Google if you find out something like that, and you're going to go, GitHub, PHP shell. I'll git clone that, send that zip right up to our website that I know is running an unpatched version of Revolution Slider, and now, hey presto, I've got a backdoor shell. Forget the website, I can own the server now. This is what happened to Mossack Fonseca. This is how the hackers got into their website, which happened to be hosted on their internal network, and also their email servers were also hosted on that same network, and the WordPress website was running WP SMTP, so they owned the database, looked through that, found the SMTP details, so now they're inside the network with a username and password to log into their mail server. The largest data breach in history started out with an out-of-date WordPress plugin. I
think we're running the web server as root, right?
Pardon me?
We're running the web server as root.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what WordPress was running under. The question was, were they running the web server as root, or do you know that as a fact?
It's a question because
okay.
Otherwise, then you'd be limited to whatever permissions that account would have, right?
Yeah, but I mean, let's pick up on that because you need very few permissions once you've exploited a website to make it quite useful and to also start navigating around other places. But anyway, so we have to have this bit. It should say, why should you listen to me? Yes, my name is Aaron Taylor. I'm CEO at 6.2, web design company. Been building, hosting, and protecting WordPress websites since 2010. currently got about 90 websites that I am personally responsible for, keeping them up and keeping the bad guys out. And yes, defending against collectively about 60,000 individual hack attempts a day. That's right. Yeah. So what is it? What is a hacked what is hacking? What is a hacked website? If you ask Google, Google says hacking, gaining unauthorized access to a data system or computer. I would argue, and you can't talk about hacking without having to differentiate between this. I think it's not just a data system or a computer. I think it's kind of anything. And I would argue that hacking is about finding a thing and making it do a thing that it wasn't intended to do. It's about understanding the system. So if we go on to this is Urban Dictionary's definition, which Urban Dictionary I think is quickly becoming the most accurate dictionary we have. They make the differentiation of cracking, and yes, the purists, myself included, the bad guys are crackers, the good guys that are just like, hey, this is interesting, I'll open that, they are hackers. And there's no malicious intent, so that is hacking. But websites get hacked. WordPress gets hacked a lot. It runs a third of the internet. It's official as of like a month or so ago. Over 33% of all websites on the internet run WordPress. It's a very big, very obvious target. So what does a hacked website look like? Well, Google, you might have seen this. This site may be hacked in the search engine results page. For a lot of people, that is the first thing that they know. That's the first time they know that their website may have been hacked. Sometimes the hacker is a little bit more, a little bit more out there, such as our good friend MHN. And, you might find out that, so Google has crawled these sites. There's nothing malicious on there apart from the fact they've been exploited. He's changed the meta description, meta title, and that sort of thing. So a hacked website sometimes looks like this. Sometimes you get a little bit of a disparity between the thing that's being advertised and the URL that it's at. So by Cialis, I'll pretend I don't know how that's pronounced, and the URL says printer filaments here. So again, hacked website might look like this, but then sometimes people wake up in the morning, go on their websites, and they see something like that. These are just a few examples. By and large, though, this is bravado. Like, a lot of hacked websites act normally, operate normally. You won't know that they've been hacked. You can go on, do your regular things. It's just that there's some JavaScript posting off information stored in your cookies, or I don't know, downloading a keylogger or something like that. Like a lot of it, for the people that that it becomes an asset to, it's quite under the radar. So who hacks? Who hacks? Who are these nefarious people? Are they like this? Are they these guys? This is hacking. It's hacking there. There's actually two people. You've seen that? See, it's like two people typing on a keyboard. Are they like that? No, actually, they're probably a lot more like this guy. Really? Anyone watch Mr. Robot?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really good depictions of what hacking actually is. I'll set this script off and go and make some tea. 3 days later, nothing. There's it's a lot more boring to look at, and there's a lot more sort of research. It's a lot more under the radar, and you never see this guy's face. But hackers generally fall into what I can identify as 4 categories: individuals, groups, organizations, which I will differentiate between because organizations are obviously groups, and nations, which is the scary version. So individuals, basically, so this is if you can remember this, open up Tor browser, go through a couple of VPNs, go to this site with about 250, 300 pounds. You can rent yourself a hacker and they will hack kind of most things. They'll happily hack websites, and they, I don't know, for about 800 pounds they'll probably try and hack an individual person. So like these are the individual hackers out there just offering service, social media hacking, emails hacking, DDoS attacks, that sort of thing. Hackers to rent, those are the individuals. These guys, anonymous, these are what I would call groups. These are obviously like the most famous hacking group, and well, Shoti and I were sort of having a conversation earlier. They do have, if you squint and sort of look like that, then they have got some ethics about what they hack. Like they went after ISIS and everyone was like, yay! They took down like 20,000 ISIS accounts or whatever. But yeah, these are the kind of groups. And say what you like about them, these guys know brand. They know how to brand. And so these are the groups that you might come across. Oh, this is what I consider an organization of hackers. Now, I know we're talking about this in the sphere of WordPress, but it runs a third of the internet, so don't think that these guys, that it's below these guys for hacking to weaponize against other organizations. NSA, MI6, like all of these people, French intelligence services. I obviously have no proof, and this is pure conjecture. Anyway, sorry, that's the camera. I think these guys are probably some of the biggest hackers on the planet, and they're good enough, and they have enough smart people that it will never be traced directly back to them. So that's organizations, and then nation states. Scary version, depending on how you define warfare. I think it's arguable that we are and have been at war with countries like Russia for a long time now. I think it was about 2 years ago, the head of MI6 went on BBC News and said, yeah, we're under serious cyber attack, and it's all originating from Russia. And there was talk about the Russian state sponsoring individual groups of hackers to collectively weaponize whatever websites they have in their botnets to attack various UK interests. So it's happening. Like this is not conspiracy. Like MI6 are coming out and saying this stuff. Yeah, and his fat sisters also into hacking. So why do people hack, and why do people especially sort of hack WordPress? This is the bit that people know it happened, but then you go, oh, it's happened, like, I've been mugged. Oh, it happens because there is crime, but why? What are the causes of hacking? What are the drivers?
Sorry.
That's all right. 3 reasons. 1 for the lulz, in my hacksaw lead speak. As we saw with MHM earlier, sometimes people just want to show that they are smarter than someone else, and it's a bit like graffiti. They're just going around tagging, found an exploit, hey, I'll go and have some fun with this. Then there's ethical hackers that are like, hey, I'm going to leave you a little text file just to let you know certificate's expired, server's out of date. This could be worse. Just deleted your logs anyway, so don't have to explain that one. So that, yeah, for the lols. Money is a big driver, and we'll go into that. Yeah, money is a great incentive for people to do things that are not right. And then going back to the kind of nation state, that sort of thing, cyber warfare and terrorism. Just to kind of sort of sidebar, the biggest ever distributed denial of service attack managed to drum up, I think, 1.26 terabits per second of traffic. Terabits per second. Like, if that was books, you're launching libraries, every library in the world, a second at something. It's utterly unbelievable. And don't think that a lot of that traffic wasn't coming from owned WordPress websites and other exploited services. Internet of Things, like anyone who bought one of these cheap Chinese, like, oh, I've got an internet camera now, I can look at my house when I'm not there. Okay, yeah, and when was the last time that software got updated? When was the last time any like patches were applied? When was the last time you changed the admin password? These things, fridges, smart fridges are taking part in DDoS attacks. What world do we live in where we can't trust our own fridge? Anyway, sorry, please continue. So why? Okay, remember this? Remember this? Yay, best quality drugs. Hold on a minute. Driving in New Zealand, buy Viagra. I've just come back from there. Yeah, so, please, the next one. Spam. There is enough stupid in the world to make spamming a well-paid job. Like, where does the spam come from? Spam comes from exploited. A lot of spam comes from, especially WordPress websites I've had to clean up. Spam, like the first thing they do, they get the back door and then they instantly start sending out spam. Like, spam works. Those little Viagra emails that totally get filtered out, they work. People Google searching stuff and then go, ooh, cheap Viagra. You know, it works. Like, people's, details get stolen. People actually give other companies credit card numbers and things like that. Spam makes money, and it's cheap. It's so cheap to do, and people keep falling for it, and that's why. So yeah, some other reasons why people spam, this is money. Stealing payment details. So I remember seeing a hacked Magento website where, of course, they were sending out spam. So yeah, they were sending out spam, but also what they've done, they've gone into the database and then they swapped out the PayPal email address, and then all the PayPal payments are going to some guy on the other side of the world. It wasn't on the other side of the world, it was in the Middle East. But, you know, stealing payment details. Anyone that is stupid enough to be storing actual credit card numbers that are not PCI DSS compliant, you will have your customers' credit card details stolen, and people will do like what they did to me when I had my debit card details stolen and they went and bought some lingerie. Explain that one to your wife. Identity theft as well. Identity theft is huge. Okay, so you can't get credit card details, but you can get names, addresses, telephone numbers, postcodes. In some cases, you might be able to get, I don't know, maybe you've asked for driving license numbers and that sort of thing. Great. So it's not so bad as in like the US where you've got social security numbers and they're like your one-time only password that you can never change, that you have to give to everyone every time you want to do anything. Anyway, it's not quite so bad like that, kind of over here, but you can create a new identity with the right details, with the right credentials, and then go out and get a loan. The bank doesn't know you're saying, can I have some free money? But this is what people do. This is what you can do with identity theft. And then this is I'm coining this word. Where's Kenton? DDoS as a service. Do you think it will catch on?
Yeah, absolutely.
DDoS. Yeah, DDoS as a service. You've got 150, 200,000 compromised WordPress websites under your belt, and someone's willing to pay you, I don't know, £1,000 to drum up a load of traffic and send it to that guy over there who they hate. You don't care, you don't need a reason. All you're doing is you shell into your command and control center, start drumming up some traffic, £1,000, thank you very much, into your Bitcoin wallet or whatever. DDoS as a service. You can just buy this stuff. So this is why people do it. Money is a big driver. Money is a big driver. Why did I put him on there as well? Oh yes, that's it. There is another why, and that is that someone out there, and this is a scary version, someone out there wants to get you directly, specifically you, not your sister, not your cousin, you. And if this guy starts coming after you, then my advice to you is good luck. because if you do find yourself the target of someone who is trying to hack you, man, that is scary, because you don't know where all your data is. You don't know where your weak points are. Like, unless you are like serious Yahoo, Google level exec, you don't know how many people have bought stuff once off a website. You know, how many times have you just kind of dropped off some, typed your postcode into something to just, do you know what I mean? Like, there's so much data that you leak all the time that someone who is just observing and wanting to piece it together will piece it together. It's scary. So I really hope no one does anything to be the targeted hack victim. So how? We'll get onto code, because I know you're raring to see this. How do hacks happen, and especially in the WordPress world as well? Okay, you probably can't see this too well. This is okay. So, has anyone heard of the OWASP top 10? Hands up. Okay, excellent. That's really good. So, as you know, these are like the top 10 vulnerabilities that we as programmers need to look out for and make sure we're defending against when we're writing code, to make sure that it's safe, to make sure that it can't be exploited. But unless you're using like static analysis tools, which is a whole nother talk in itself, you will sometimes just do kind of stupid things. So in WordPress world, a lot of the real bad kind of exploits, a lot of websites get hacked because there's a plugin with an exploit. It could be considered, in a lot of cases, it's a 0 day, to be honest. But here we've got content timeline versions less than or equal to 4.2. And then this is really bad. This is just sloppy. A multiple blind SQL injection, and here we go. See here, we've got get ID. So we've got a query string parameter. We're assigning it to a variable, and then somewhere down here. Oh no, we're not even using the variable we created. We're just straight up piping that into our database call. WPDB get results. It's not parameterized or anything like that. So I know here's another version of it. Okay, great. So this stuff happens all the time in plugins. And if you go to the next line, basically, if you went to a URL that was running this plugin and then doctored your request like this. So we've got timeline to access the kind of variable they're looking for, union select, and then whack in another select statement. Basically, this will return the hashed user passwords from a WordPress database in whatever that the response to that request is. And so that's like, that's not hard. And like, if you know where to look and if you know how to do that, and if you're a hacker, you've probably just got your websites spamming other websites, brute force attacks on them, just firing out like own servers, just firing out like literally brute forcing. Oh, are they running Rev Slider? Are they running this? What version of WordPress are they running? Do they have this plugin? Can I find this text document that I know comes with this this exploited version of whatever? You know, and they're just trying stuff. You should see some of the attacks. They're just like blindly trying things. Can I get a directory traversal on the go? No. Oh well, move on. You know, it's not hard stuff. I guess if you know what you're doing. But this is there's an exploit. Here's another one. This one's quite cute actually. So easy WP SMTP, which wasn't the one that Mossfon were using when they got hacked, but a plugin like this, if you get your database owned, they've got SMTP details for whatever mail server you're sending out email from. So they can like using an AJAX request. It will like do certain actions like clear a log and so on and so forth. But you can also send a whole bunch of other settings through an AJAX request as well. Now, this is part of a much bigger function, but you know they do a good thing here. They're filtering the inputs. You know, they're looking for files and yada 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 yada. But the thing is, they're not testing to make sure that the file that's being uploaded and the options that are being added here, they're not actually testing that you have permission to add those options. And so therefore, what can you do if you've got access to the WordPress options database? You can do a lot of things. So WordPress uses the options database to determine which plugins are running and which ones are not. So if you've got some other, like say if you're running WordFence or some other security plugins, you can literally just update that option to turn that security off. You can elevate. I think you can elevate administrators. You can do tons of things. You can just like write out which we'll go on to, write out a script which, do you know what I mean? You can cross-site script. You can do lots of things. Is my point. And yeah, unauthenticated arbitrary options import. And these guys, they're not trying to write bad code. They're trying to make something useful. But because they haven't used, like I say, static analyzers and things like that, or sent it off to like a security pen test company and that sort of thing, you know, you get exploited. So I don't have a code example for that. This one was, was quite interesting. All-in-one SEO pack. So this is a very big plugin, like hundreds of thousands of people using all-in-one SEO pack. But because they're trusting the HTTP referrer in the request, if you go to the next one, and they're storing that, you can literally just like break out Postman or something like that, set your user agent to some script, and then you know whatever JavaScript you want, and then bang, you've got cross-site scripting, just like that. Very easy. So this is how it happens. This is how WordPress websites get hacked. And once they've got just a little in, man, they can just do anything they like. There's like another couple of like ways that WordPress gets hacked. Brute force. This is the sort of thing that I am dealing with daily. It's a pain in the ass, but it's just like it's remarkable just how quickly it's like brand new domain. Like 2 days later, it's like gone live or something, and it's like, and then like 2 days plus 1 minute brute force attack. It's remarkable just how quickly they can cotton on to this. Supply chain. This was a really interesting one because WordPress plugins are obviously free and open source. They're maintained by just like millions of people around the world, and some companies sell plugins and they buy other plugins as well to add to their plugin portfolio. So this guy, Mason Soiser, who's actually right there, sat in a Ferrari, he bought a really popular WordPress plugin called, what was it? Something widgets. It was one that allowed you to like conditionally show widgets on various pages. He bought it, backdoored it. It had like 300,000 installs or something like that. Then spam advertised on it, so any web page running that plugin would then redirect them to a landing page for his payday loans company, and that payday loans company was actually a referral for another payday loan provider, and he made a lot of money out of that. Sad thing is that the WordPress developer that originally owned that plugin sold it to him. I think he offered him like £8,000. £8,000, and he'd have made hundreds of thousands, if not millions, off of that. So that's a supply chain hack. That's it's harder to do, but do you know what I mean? Once it's yours, it's yours. So, what can you do? What can we do to defend ourselves against this? There's a lot. It's really quite simple. It's really quite simple. This is my recipe for how to defend yourself against having your WordPress website hacked. Keep plugins and themes up to date. Yes, I know. You can go from a stable to an unstable version. The new version might introduce some kind of exploits and those sorts of things, but typically they get picked up pretty damn quick. So typically you'll be fine. You'll be really, really unlucky if you update to an unstable version and then that exploit gets out in the wild before it gets patched. Like the kind of true 0 days in WordPress are, they're quite very rare. You're going to be under brute force attack. Don't use admin as a username because that is just the first thing they search for when they're kind of trying to brute force. And also, it will look at the domain. It will swap the the dots for underscores and stuff like that. Don't use anything that's related to the website or any content on the website as a username. Like pad it out. We use random words and characters and stuff like that. Word fence. This thing is like the most fully featured, robust security package that you can get for WordPress. Every single one of our sites runs word fence. It's got malware scanner. It's got it can see if you're being spam advertised. It's got a web application firewall which you can tweak, with like whitelist rules and stuff like that. It is so good. It is unbelievable. And for those interested in performance, it runs before WordPress executes. So it has its own separate standalone engine that can analyze incoming traffic and block it if needs be, like all before WordPress executes. So your server will still be able to, even if you're under like quite a lot of attack, your server will pretty much stay standing, unless you've just like been really cheap and you're like running on like a 0.5 CPU core or whatever. Then talk to Kenton, because he's got a script which will let you scale. Enforce strong passwords. WordFence helps you do this, especially for anyone above editor level, editor admin, even like kind of privileged editors in WordPress land. Make sure that they have strong passwords, and you can either use like kind of lots and lots of random characters, or you can do the XKDC thing and XKCD thing and have like 3 or 4 normal words that are easy for humans to remember but hard for computers to crack. But remember, like, these guys are attacking you blind. Yeah, they may be using dictionary lists, but if you show them like 32 character string, they don't know whether that is 32 random characters. They don't know like the address size that they need to attack. They don't know if it's like a line of dots or anything like that. It's, you can have strong passwords which are hard for computers, easy for humans to remember. And sign up to WP VulnDB, WordPress Vulnerability Database. They send you like email alerts. I get them all the time. So, if you're like me and you've kind of got a handle on all the stuff that you typically run and things like that, and dipping in and out of lots of websites, you can kind of keep a working memory of like, oh yeah, actually, I swear we got that plugin somewhere. There's also other services like Managed WP, which will give you a dashboard. You'll be able to log in and literally just search through all your websites, which ones have plugins and themes that are out of date, which ones have vulnerabilities which have been listed on this and that sort of thing, and just keep everything up to date. But literally, if you do this, if you just got one website, and if you do this, you're going to be so well placed to like not get hacked. It's not hard, but you need to be rigorous with it.